meeting to order. Regular December meeting minutes.
Do we have any revisions today?
Yeah.
I would like to discuss advertising for water board members before the water board appointment.
Discussion or
Better do that between 3 and 4 then.
Yeah, 4 is
Yeah.
water board appointments, right? So you want that, obviously, for that, okay. Be like a lawyer, 3-1.
okay, anything else? Yeah, anything else?
No.
Okay. December meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Stan to approve, for a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Boone, any discussion on it? Any discussion, hearing none. Motion carried. Time sheets, Brian's got them now.
Move to approve.
Sure. Has everybody had a chance?
Yes,
There is one missing, but I understand it's just been submitted.
Okay.
I'm finding it.
As far as the bills, that's going to be explained that we're gonna have a teleconference.
Yeah, we'll have to do that on Friday, and the reason for that is you have to roll over your software to 2026, before you can actually pay bills, and you have to close out 2025 before you do that, so I can't roll over until tomorrow morning to do that. So, we'll get our bills all written on Thursday, and we'll hold a special meeting on Friday morning. You guys can determine the time, but we'll do that telephone plate.
You'll email a copy of them out to us.
Yep. As soon as I have them, I'll send them out on Thursday, and then you guys decide a time for Friday. Doesn't have to be in the end, it can be whenever you want.
Anybody got a preference on time?
Right away.
Yeah.
I'd say
9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
8 then, or 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock would be good.
8 AM.
Let me down in my property.
Yeah, I believe that.
But you can go fishing then, right?
No, I won't be fishing, don't worry about that, I haven't been doing that much either.
I'm pretty sure you could be up or not.
Oh, I'll be up. I think they're right.
This is Friday morning, right?
Friday, yeah.
You guys or something.
Okay.
We're just protecting your
That's
welfare.
to
Food.
Mm-hmm.
check, accept the bill. All right. Balance sheet.
Okay, going up. Let's take a look at a few things here. And if we have any questions, I'll entertain those for you. First of all, as expected, collections are much slower than in previous years, and that's due to the size of the primary residence credit. The state started picking up the half to pay by February 15th to get a 5% discount type thing. So we won't see money from them, I don't expect, until mid-March to sometime early April is when that will actually come. So exactly what I told you a month or two back, that money is gonna be much, much slower to arrive this year as opposed to if the individual citizens were paying their own taxes. A couple of things here to highlight, also the reason why you're gonna see in the collections line. Normally that would be much more significant. People paying their taxes in December and would continue to do so in January and early February, but capital projects fund there, about the fourth line down, it's up to $330,000. So we still need some more collections just to hit our mark of being able to summer when that occurs, and Brian will be in later today. Specifically, I suspect we talk about that. Other ones here, you'll see between House Bill 1066, which is about 8 or 10 lines down, coupled with flexible transportation, which is probably 15 to 20 lines down, there's about $800,000 that's left there, and that would be less. We're going to have a sizable bill here that you'll see on Friday morning for bridge inspections, which we pay every single year. Pay a ton of money for that activity. So that will come out of those funds, so,
Is that mandated by the state?
absolutely,
Do we have no say in
we
it?
don't have any choice. And it's sizable.
Well, yeah,
It's a lot of thousands, so. A few other items of interest, obviously, you can still see the gray areas, the negative numbers, and I would suspect, that will be at least part of the conversation when we talk long-term planning. I will show you some information regarding the road fund and the progress that we're making. It's slow progress, but I told you it wasn't gonna happen overnight, and it's gonna take years to get out of a circumstance that it took years to get into. As far as general fund, you'll see that looks reasonably robust at just over $5 million, but I can tell you, based on what you have set aside, whether it's in CDs, money market, whatever, technically that number is negative, okay, because we've overinvested, and that's perfectly fine. That's what the money market's for. We can pull money out and so on and so forth when we need to. But again, that's gonna be slower than normal to build here early on in 2026. Should get a shot in the arm, of course, when the state pays their share. VSO fund, we're not set up to pay out of it, which is A-okay. We can just let that ride. You could transfer it if you want to your general fund at some point in time, because that's where we pay the VSO out of. But in my estimation, it'd be best to just leave it where it's at, and maybe by or around 2027, we can begin to just pay out of it as opposed to the general fund. But you gotta have more money in there than you're ultimately going to need.
You mentioned, when the state pulls their payment, is there a target date for them to do that?
Yeah, my best guess would be it's gonna be around April 1st. They might be a little early, they might be a little bit behind, but so it'll be somewhere around there, between March 15th and April 15th. We'll see. Let's see. Social services, obviously, not a fund that you have anything to do with, but they'll get payment coming up here, not they get paid twice a year from the state of North Dakota, so that one will be A-okay. And then, if you just go, and it's not exclusively from soil conservation down, because there are a few accounts listed above that, but obviously, over $1.25 million will go out in payouts between the end of, or beginning here in January. The school districts get paid every month, and there's a sizable amount of money in the school districts, over $800,000. That'll all go out this month. And then in February is one of the first of 4 months that townships and ambulance, fire departments, cities, et cetera, get their pay. So there's $1.25 million down there already that's been collected that goes right back out the door. So your difference right now between your balance, which shows $8.11 million, and the previous balance of $6.881 million is a mirage, because every bit of that difference is going out the door to other political subs. So, do you have any questions specifically on this sheet here?
Anybody got questions?
All right, looking at the next page, your CD page, we just renewed one at DHB, and for the first time in a spell, we're sub 4%, and that will continue to drive down, I suspect, here, but we still have existing ones that are over 4%, but they too, you know, when it comes renewal time, ain't nothing gonna be above that mark, at least not in the foreseeable future. But nevertheless, you've got $4.581 million in CDs, and our money market account is down to $1.633 million. And that currently sits at 3.5. And if that doesn't change, I guess it's fine. I'm willing to trade the flexibility for something going to offer 3.75, just well being the money market and give you greater flexibility.
That was my question, how long, if you ever visit them, how long is that 3.5 gonna stick around?
I'm not asking any questions, I don't want to draw attention to it.
Well, they know though, and, that
But no,
the disparity
until
is as narrow as it's ever been.
it is. But it still sits at that mark.
Oh, yeah.
And when we do get collections, that's the first place they will go. Any questions on that page? And by the way, the new one that we just renewed at DHB at 3.95%, we added about $600,000 to that. And that's why you see the decline in your money market from last month to this month. We took the money out of there to add to that.
That's okay.
And then last is the funds controlled by the commission. You should find that those numbers match the page that we just looked at, and the one that we looked at before that. The 589 and House Bill 1066, general fund, where it's at, and then your three different road funds, and again, that federal aid road that has $2,500 in it, we'll never see another dollar added to it. Okay, we could do well, get rid of it, we probably will in the not too terribly distant future.
Yeah.
Well, if it's something else.
There is nothing.
You're not less confused when you look at that.
Right.
So, all told, that negative $1.256 million is what I just referenced, the difference between your balance sheet and what is gonna go out in the next 6 weeks through political subdivisions. So, if you have any questions on any of that, I will entertain those, otherwise, I need a motion to approve the balance sheet.
All motion to approve.
Brad Miller, motion to approve balance sheet, is there a second? Second by Boone. Any discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And also, to approve Warren I to
Yep. Approve the,
I'll make
signatures.
a motion to approve the signature for Dan and Laura.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Boone, second by, who is it?
Stan.
Stan, okay. Any discussion? Any other discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries.
All right, and then the next item there is pledge securities. You have all three banks that we have resources in. All of them are above and beyond adequacy in terms of covering our deposits. No motions needed, but I think we should come through that. And it needs to be the consensus that they do have adequate coverage.
We don't need a vote on that, do we?
Nope. You all good?
You just don't say it. Just note in the minutes that we looked at.
All right, and then the only correspondence we have this month is a thank you note here. It says, County Commissioners, thank you for providing office space for the Soil Conservation District during the 2025 government shutdown. The accommodations were perfect and everyone at the KPL building was very welcoming and helpful. Your support of our locally driven conservation programs was greatly appreciated and needed. So
So noted.
Fill us in, why'd they have to come over here?
When the government shuts down, you can't use government buildings.
Well, couldn't you down?
Even though there's no
So
cost involved?
they don't, to lock the doors, no one's to have access, and so if they wanted to do anything or just even keep up with their life in terms of their work, even though they're, no federal payment during the course of that, they have to find a place to go. They reached out to us, in fact, they reached out to us before the last threatened shutdown, and we told them, we got lots of vacant space.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
They use just a big car, really.
One of these offices here. And it points out something that I already know, and I suspect you all know too, is that we could take on a whole lot of stuff here, because we got all kinds of space.
Right.
All right? But that's not necessarily what we're looking to do, but we could.
Yeah. Portfolio deals? We have to discussing with most of it, so like everybody wants to kind of stay where they're at. Except Brian mentioned probably not want to be on the fair board,
If somebody else wants the fair board, they're sure welcome to it.
nobody else interested.
It's not that I won't do it, I'm just saying if someone else is interested, I'm sure they're interested. But I will not leave them.
Well, how about we come back to that, let's just go through
Okay.
your portfolio.
Right, that's really not a portfolio, that's separate.
I know. It's, I don't know what it is.
But Noah, why don't you each cover your own individual portfolio?
Let's start with Brian.
Nothing new on my end, I guess. Hopefully Chris is showing up today. Discuss stuff on his end, so otherwise, nothing.
Well, I'm gonna echo Brian. Deanna's coming in today, and we'll hopefully fill you in on, because of our illustrious legislature, she has a lot more work to do early on in the year here. We need to send notices out to every individual as to what their assessments are, contrary to other years, so. But she'll come in, nothing with Deanna.
2 times, she's gotta send stuff out. That's what she said last night, 2 times she's gotta send stuff out.
Not everybody two times, but Dan's gotta send something out. But the fall of the year, Dan?
There's always something.
Well, no, the new, isn't there, you need to, what do you have to do in the fall of the year? Isn't that new to the state legislature? Need to notify,
I'm not necessarily certain what you're referencing.
they eliminated the tax estimate,
Oh, that used to be, the estimate used to be something out.
yeah, in August, which was a good thing, no one liked that, no, it was worthless. But in turn, they replaced it with 2 other things that had to go out. She'll come.
It'll come.
No, it got worse.
Well, I doubt any notification would be any worse than the one that we had to send out last year for all the public hearings and nobody understood that.
Well, yeah, and that was new, right?
That was new last year.
Okay, that's the other one.
If that's it, then I guess we're a year into that already.
Yeah, well, but that's still
More mass confusion.
a mass mailing that involves a lot of work, costs and everything else. That's all I got.
I haven't heard nothing.
We can handle those guys.
Yep.
Brent's coming in here, we've been working on this forward planning that we're gonna talk about later on. Kicked out some ideas and we'll bring them up later on down here. Working with the engineers, hopefully we get some answers on the five pretty soon. All that good stuff, so. I guess the good thing is we have it through now winter so far, we can save a lot.
Yeah.
And that means that was okay, it was not so big. But
Well, Oliver's coming in today, but he's been very good with communication, I've been really good touch with him. The treasurer office, I've been
workload in that office.
Very capable. Okay, as far as, I guess I mentioned, for the carpet, portfolios will stay the same for 1 more year here.
Okay. Are you intending to keep South Central?
For 1 more year and then I'll, when I retire, I'll send you up to places.
Okay. Clerk and Court and Sheriff's Department, you're keeping that? Treasurer's Office and State Attorney, we're keeping that? Custodial Road, DDS, you're keeping? Extension reporter and HR. Auditor inspector.
Yep. Auditor just struggled right out, for another year.
That's gotta be a challenge, nobody wants that.
You know our HR, right?
Yep. And then, let's go ahead and talk about, Fair Board and Housing Authority over on the edit here. I think Brian was both of those actually. I heard never heard anything from the housing. Yeah, they haven't done anything. They have 15 years yet, but nevertheless, you never know, housing is still a major issue.
So, fill us in, what do you do on the fair for, what?
You go to the meetings and listen, you're not a voting member, you kind of listen, and what ends up happening most of the time, everything that gets figured out and gets decided comes back to the chain anyway. So, and I'm not,
No, but you're right, it's.
but, and they're comfortable with that, that's been some, the president is different now, we have a different president. So maybe that'll change, but it just feels like, right over there, what difference does it make?
Well, you still can have input, even though you can't vote.
Oh, I understand that, I've been doing that for years.
Because a lot of times they'll want to know what the commission thinks or what feeling the commission is. Well, in the bigger picture, not to interject, but we're all on a board, I don't know if it's prudent to change things. I'm willing to go on the fair board, but then I'm gonna get off of district health. I'm not gonna be on 2 of them.
I just
and
wanted to
Brian's
make sure
on
that
social
somebody else
services and.
didn't have interest in it. Like I said, I'm not gonna leave it hanging.
Right, actually, the main thing when we're on these boards is the communication line between the commission and those entities, so.
I know.
Do you understand that?
Like I said, I'm not gonna leave it hanging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
I will tell you this, I am gonna make a fuss about the meal, if they're not gonna provide more than they did last year for the meal. I'm not too interested in serving it. For food, we ran out of food. There was no reason for that, we never ran out of food before, but.
Oh, you mean the deal with Lisa?
Yes, yes. I don't know how you guys feel, but if you're gonna advertise a meal, have enough stuff. They cut back by ways.
Too much.
Yeah.
As far as doing it, I kinda like it.
Well, yeah, I don't mind it either. In fact, as far as that goes, if they're worried about the beef, I'll provide the beef. I just don't want them people coming through the line and we advertise a free meal and they don't get what they got coming. I'll provide the meal. I'll provide the beef if I have to.
I can't even remember how short was it.
Well, they were short of that. They were short of buns. My brother cooked it. He couldn't be here, so my wife did his job and she walked in there and looked. She goes, "We're running out today." She's done a few of these things. And she sent somebody up town twice to buy buns. And that's fine. I mean, it's good, but we need to get a little bit of
Well, that's a communication thing, I think that's fair enough.
Right, I know, but I'm just telling you, it's something that, but we're part of it, when we're standing there serving it, we're part of the whole picture too.
With a different chairman, maybe it'll be better.
It might be, it could be. It's just a
She's a farm girl, so it might be a lot
And you
better.
never know how much to prepare for.
No.
That's a tough thing when you get.
It was just after the reunion too, though, so they probably, I mean, there was more people.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was more people around, just period, they stayed for the
Yeah.
reunion.
So we served like 100 more than the year before.
Probably 80 to 100.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's hard to prepare for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How about the house?
So I guess that's for the board to
Housing authority to keep that, so.
get back to, I guess that's something for the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I've kind of told them that way.
Okay. What other appointments do you have?
That is it for that. We'll do the board stuff later. The various board stuff.
Okay.
Obviously, agenda item that we'll address with that, so.
Okay, where do you want to go here then?
At this point, I guess we'll move on to the public comments portion. And we do have 2 people signed up today, and Richard is here, so if you want to have a share here, you certainly can.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody knows that I'm Richard Reese, and I'm here to speak to you this morning now as a resident of the county, resident of the water board has been making unreasonable decisions, as I pointed out to you, in my attention in the past. In the past meeting last fall at the KPL district, it was stated by the chairman of the water board that all costs related to the issue regarding the township culvert on 55th Avenue crossing were going to be assessed against the drainage district. As there is no benefit to the Oak Creek drainage district, as is required to implement the assessment, as stated by North Dakota Century, the special assessment they are imposing is arbitrary and unreasonable. The county is the one that is ultimately responsible for the actions of the water, and as such responsible financially for the poor decisions the water board is making. So the county mill levy that the water district gets is the only possible way to pay the $155,000 that the water board pays. Do you guys have any questions for me or anything? I'll gladly answer anything with reference to the township or anything else. If not, in closing, the only thing I'll say is the only winners in a lawsuit are the attorneys. And Wells County, the taxpayer, has sent enough money to the Minnesota law. It's been a golden cow for them, and I just think we send enough money over. Thank you for your time, and if any of you guys ever have questions or ever want to know anything else, you're more than welcome to contact any of us, as far as the township organization, as far as the tax. Because that's just, again, North Dakota Century Board. If you don't get a benefit, you cannot assess the district. So they have to find a way to get the money, or they break the law. Thank you.
And then also signed up person, that's Greg, that's here, so.
Money.
Happy New Year. So, first, I just wanted to give kudos to Laura Mushka and the Treasurer's Department, all the county employees involved in getting our tax statements out to you. Due to your issues with your software, she actually emailed ours so we could get ours paid. We wanted to pay it before we left town for the year end, so greatly appreciated. And then as far as data centers, I was unable to attend the meeting last night, but I had forwarded, I had a question, but Larry Denver had review the document that was online, so I don't know if that was your, latest draft or not, but, the only concerns we had was with, public safety, fire response, and, sound and decibel volumes, but otherwise appreciate all the hard work you guys have done, and I'm guessing there's probably a new document for us to look at, hopefully.
Right.
And, just appreciate all the hard work you're doing on it, so hopefully they'll all come to fruition, and we can get it out of San or somewhere around town.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mhm.
Is that all taken care of now?
Jana will come in with the final version we made, two or three
Just
modifications.
little changes for, well, Tammy's back, there are 2 or 3 little changes on the emergency manager part of it so that it gets reviewed every year. Right? Basically is what we talked about.
Like safety inspections and stuff. The
Right.
original wordage talked about an initial inspection, and we changed it to a yearly inspection. There was a few different things, so.
Right. That was
Right.
we just added a couple of
That's the county zoning.
Right, and we're gonna ultimately, just a recommendation, but Jana will be in later and present it, and we'll vote on approving it or not.
us.
Today.
Because that was our hearing, right?
Yeah. It was a public hearing.
Yeah.
Last night.
Good. Okay, what else have we got?
All right, that is, all of that, so I guess we would be, before we get to commission appointments, we added an item to the agenda regarding, funding to, I would assume all boards, but you specifically said one board.
Yeah.
So.
I've had some questions posed to me as to why, when we do appointments, some get advertised and some don't. They wanted to know why we do not advertise the water board appointments, and I said I will look into it. So, with that said, with the concern that's out there, do we need to move this to next month so we can research this? Because it is a 3-year deal, and it is very important. And we've got three guys to reappoint or appoint or whatever. And so, do we need to put that out to the public for the concern that's there or not? That's the question. You guys can discuss that from there. That's what I'm getting.
I don't ever remember that we've done that before.
Right, I'm just thinking with that, you said some have been done and some haven't. Have you ever advertised?
Well, there's other entities.
Most of the time we have to beg people to be on stuff.
Right, I'm like I said, I'm bringing this forward, and because I said I would.
Okay.
If the ones that are on the boards want to come back and be on the boards, we've never advertised for people to come on the board and bump them out, have we?
No.
That's where,
Somebody.
huh?
We've never had that issue before.
Right, we've never had it, right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's like we guys said, most of these you're lucky to get somebody. And
I did check with Oliver, and he said that it's possible that you do not have to appoint the ones that are there. I just checked it, I wanted to make sure that I was right on everything, and he did tell me this. He said if you're going to do that, that would be a Dan issue, he'd have to put it in the paper for a couple of weeks. And so I did my homework, just to check it out. And so I'm presenting it, and it is what it is.
I'd be afraid of setting a precedent by doing that. Advertising. You know, we got good people in, why would you do that? doing that.
Yeah, we're under uncharted water here. That's never happened before, that more people have wanted to be on a board.
Do we know that?
Pardon?
Do we know that? Because once we make that decision, it's 3 years.
Brian, do you have any idea how hard it is to find somebody to be on a board?
I understand
Like that.
that. Now, let me finish. This would probably be to your advantage, because it would put to rest the issue of people wanting to know. There's a very good possibility all of us would vote for the reappointment. Don't get me wrong. I'm doing this, or I'm presenting this so that it puts things to rest, okay? So it'd probably be to your advantage. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do this, but think about it. It would probably have to involve an interview process, because that's the way we've done things for other offices. And so, I'm presenting things that are a concern, okay? That's my job. And so, don't think I'm trying to be picking on you guys. I'm not. I'm trying to make this thing, so when we're done with it, it's taken care of. Okay?
How many people came to you?
Huh?
How many people came to you?
I had about 5 or 6 phone calls. I was surprised.
The correct way to do that is, if somebody wanted to get appointed to one of those, to send in a letter of application for it. And we would look at that.
But wouldn't it have to be advertised so everybody knew about it? Isn't that law?
Whatever you decide, and it's fine, whichever way you choose to go, but you should treat all of your boards the same.
Right, versus, like you said, we've got the precedence here, we just, here again, I go back to Jana, found someone, there's an individual on the zoning board who didn't want to be on anymore, and she looked hard and far, and found someone. I think it would be a waste of time or effort to put it in the paper and advertise it, just because in the past, no one wants to be on these boards.
Well, I'm looking at the public health board, they have to plaque that half the people would be on it.
No.
That's what I'm talking about.
I
setting
think it
precedent.
could have a detrimental effect in that if now my term's up and I gotta apply, put a letter of recommendation in and do all that, you may have less people interested in that.
And I guess, serving on planning and zoning, which the two of you are on as well, what's the general idea? If you're gonna leave the board, what do you gotta do? You gotta find your own replacement.
Right, yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna apply for that.
No.
But if it's good for one, it's good for all.
Well, that's the thing, if we do for one board, then we need to do the whole advertise, if you wanna go down that road. Almost gotta treat everything the same.
How many other boards need appointees?
Well,
gosh,
we have,
lots.
the health district, JDA, Wells County Planning and Zoning, school district reorganization, Wells County redistricting, that only happens once every 10 years, so that's Central Prairie Human Service Zone Board, Wells County, well, we don't do soil conservation, those are elected. Water Resource Weed Board, so there's a lot of them, so. And JDA by far has the biggest group, where they've got about 5 positions every year that are out.
Yeah, not everybody shows up for that either.
So,
Right.
yeah, 13, 15 people on
Yeah,
that.
and you can barely get enough to go a little vote when you have our meetings, about like our zoning meeting.
They have
So gotta have
somebody call in last night to get more.
Yeah. So I appreciate your concern bringing that up, Doug. Is there any particular reason why we should do that with one board and not the other?
Like I said, I got these phone calls and I'm presenting it, and they wanted to know why that it was not advertised for appointment. I said, I will find out. That's why I brought it to here. Like I said, I wanted to put it to rest, so to make sure that it's in the minutes, so that people can see it was discussed and find out why and what. Because then it's not always the question, it's there. We've discussed it.
I've been on other boards that, other than in an election process, school boards elected, that's a different deal, but other boards, typically what happens is if someone's interested in being on a board, they'll write a letter of application to that board well ahead of time with the language of, if there's anything available or if you need someone, I would be interested. And then it's up to the board's discretion to reappoint the old people or pick a new one. Now, that's not to say we gotta do it the same way.
I think, all of us have text out that you have to have specific reasons to replace them here on board.
Not on appointment. If you're gonna take someone off in mid-term, like he said, he stated, I have it if you want it, that
Yes.
upon appointment, you do not have to replace the ones that are there. Like I said, I did my homework. I wanted to make sure when I got these calls, I wanted to make sure what was going on, because there's always, after the fact, there's always discussions, and this will put it to rest.
In fairness, you know, when these positions are coming up, I typically reach out to the organization, whatever it is, whether it's water board or weed board or whoever, and I say, so-and-so and so-and-so, their terms are up at the end of 2025, so I would have done this in December. And most of these boards are under the old idea that they'll simply tell me who's gonna be on board. And it becomes I mean, you guys do have the final say, but unless you're sitting on one of those boards, which several of you sit on various boards, that would be your only inclination if that person's a good member or one that doesn't attend. And we've had board members where the organization's reached out and said, well, we gotta replace this guy, he never comes.
Well, we've heard that as commissioners already, that whatever board it is needs to have someone different on there because that person hasn't showed up in 3 years. That's the main reason probably why someone gets replaced on a board, is they never come anyway.
And so so for example, and I'll do some of these here, health district, has one person that's up, and that person needs to be replaced, not because she's doing a poor job, but because she either doesn't wanna do it anymore, or whatever the case is. You guys are on that board, but she either can't or doesn't want to. That's the word I got, is needs to be replaced. Becky Hoggle on the social service board said she can't serve anymore. I don't know what that means. I'm just the middleman here, so they have to find somebody to foster.
Connie Foods and zoning.
Yep, she reached out, resigned her position.
Yes.
So,
Did you say Clean Whip is not what you wanted?
correct.
News does.
That's a broken water tree there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Caitlin had said, but then she's the one who reached out to me and said, yeah, we'll need to find a replacement, because she asked me, you know anybody? I said, well, I haven't really thought about it, so no. But same thing, happens on a number of these boards, so, Weed Board reached out, they've got 2 people that are up, and I got a note on the minutes that they presented to me this past month, that both of those 2 have re-accepted their position. So, I mean, you have a formality to
Most of
accept
the time,
those
you're right,
appointments,
the boards take care of it.
but they do, and it's kind of on them if they can't conduct a meeting because they don't have a quorum or whatever.
Right.
So,
But if somebody like Cleaver, then you have to look for people, then you gotta.
but and you know, nobody should be trying to get out of work. Maybe what you're suggesting here is a good idea, but you would be in the month of December in any given year, you would probably be conducting anywhere from 15 to 20 interviews.
Especially if you had to interview the people who were on the board, wanted to be up.
It would almost have to do it all.
Yeah, and I really would be opposed to, if you do this for one, but
Because I'm thinking half of them would say they have to be on my board.
I guess my recommendation would be to leave the process as it is. On the other hand, I would encourage any individual within the county, cameras on, that if they're interested in being on any of these boards, to submit an application to us, and we'll certainly consider it and pass it on to whatever board they're interested in, and we're certainly always willing and able and wanting new people on these boards. But I'm opposed to the whole advertising in the paper.
So how long ahead of time should this be? Just so that we know this.
Well, all you got to do is contact Dan, he'll tell you when some of these are open.
And sometimes, in the case of the water board, you live anywhere in Walls County, I don't think you have any districts that I'm aware of, do you? Okay, sometimes you have to live in a specific area, similar to your districts.
Yep.
So a representative on the JDA has represented a certain part of the county, and so on, or a city, whatever the case is, same thing on the school reorganization committee. So sometimes you do have to live in a certain place, sometimes you can live anywhere in Wells County, so.
We as a water board do try to pick people in the areas
You would
throughout.
probably wanna do that, but at the same time, there's no.
You don't have to.
We don't have to, but that's our goal anyway.
So it's one of those things, and every one of these groups, there might be an exception or two, has openings every year. Somebody's up every year, okay? So if you're interested in the weed board, or you're interested in planning and zoning, or you're interested in JDA or whatever, there are openings every year, somebody's
Yeah,
up.
well, if anybody's just interested in getting involved, you'd have to do what's open.
And Brian, answer your question, when do you wanna submit them? The sooner the better.
Well,
It can be a year ahead of time.
The reason I'm asking these questions, okay, I'm trying to get to the bottom of something here, and it's working. We're getting there. Does it have to be a letter, or can it be a phone call?
Should be a letter, I think.
I wanna get this clarified.
Well, if somebody's interested in getting involved, they just call down and put the name down. So.
Hey, that person called me. I did not pass it on, I thought I'd wait till today and bring it up. So is a phone call good enough, or do you want a written paper? I'm just, like I said, I wanna make sure we get somewhere with this thing.
Personally, I'd rather see a written letter so that we know it's not somebody that has an agenda.
Right, I understand that,
Why
that's why I'm
would you
asking
get
the
on board
question.
if you have an
Yeah.
agenda?
And the value of it being in writing, instead of walls either.
Right.
It's worth something, a phone call, you can throw it away.
There was a time in
Written
my
letter
life
you'll have.
where I reached out to an organization that needed somebody, and I felt like I fit that bill, and call back. So I guess that told me where I stood, but that being said, if you put it in writing, at least there's a paper trail to it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you can't say, well, gee, yeah, I forgot to present that. Got to tell them about the phone call. So I think in the interests of this group, I would suggest you put something in the form of a motion, whatever that something is. And Stan, you suggested that.
Yeah, I'm trying to word it. Make a motion that anybody interested in getting a position on one of the county boards, that they submit a written application through the county. Get them up.
You got it? It's really, I believe it's really cool.
I just said, Brooks have made a motion for the just interested parties in Wells County Board, submit a written letter to Wells County indicating said interest.
Yeah. That's simple enough.
Motion made to stand, second by Dave. Any discussion?
I am gonna stay out of the vote on this because I failed the process. I got the phone call, and I did not tell them that they needed a written letter.
Well, that honestly, that didn't exist, Brian.
No, I didn't exist. but
it
you
didn't
don't need to
exist
take
till today.
responsibility
for that.
You can bring it up today, that's fine.
I just, like I said, I wanna get this thing put to rest once and for all, because there's always some stir somewhere, and we don't need that.
Well, you gotta realize some boards are out there controversial.
Oh, yeah, I know, I understand.
As far as phone calls, I think we got calls on the other side too, so.
That's all.
So anyway, any other discussion on the motion in second? Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So then should we go down the list?
Okay. So, some of these you can't do anything about. In the health district, that vacancy literally in the last 24 hours.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm surprised we didn't know about that, but okay.
So, nothing that can be done there. The JDA,
Well, get back to that, is that their responsibility to find somebody else?
well, anybody can feign an interest into that this juncture, right?
Yeah.
You would have to submit a letter, otherwise I believe in the interest of the health district, they would begin seeking.
Yeah.
They will not meet, I believe it's January 28th or something like that, so there's time. If there's somebody out there that's interested. JDA, when I reached out to them, they indicated an interest in reappointing the 4 folks that are up, which include Sherry Lean, Robert Martin, Arnie Selzler, and Paula Tweeten. But they don't have any meetings scheduled in the near future that I'm aware of. You might know of something.
Warren Strand is secretary for that, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's an officer, and yes,
Sherry Lean's
he's the treasurer, Sherry's the secretary.
Okay.
But they also were apprised of the fact that they need somebody to replace Spencer Marchand. And when I asked them about that specifically, they said, well, it's a city Harvey job. So they don't even know who's supposed to come up with this. There seems to be some uncertainty, but I said, well, you guys gotta figure this out. 'Cause I was hoping to have all of these groups have their names to me today.
Right.
That did not materialize. It did with some of the other groups. Planning and zoning, Warren Strand and Bob Martin are both up, looking for a replacement for Connie Kuntz. Both Warren and Bob are willing to continue, and Joey Almaris has graciously accepted taking on the role previously held by Connie Kuntz, as he's representing the city of Fezman on planning and zoning. Redistricting board, again, that won't meet until 2031, so that's a ways away. School district organization committee, Stan, you are up on that. You will be reappointed, and Bob Nelson has indicated that he is willing to be reappointed, but does want us to begin the search for somebody different to represent the north side of Harvey.
If I wanted to,
Yeah.
Just give it to you.
just give it to
Yeah.
me.
That's how them boards work.
Central Prairie Human Service Zone, Madison did not get back to me other than to say that Betsy Harlow needs to be replaced. Again, I don't know why. Is she leaving the commission and talk to county? I don't know.
Not that I know of.
I haven't heard nothing. I haven't been down there either.
Soil Conservation District doesn't need anybody. Water Resource Board, Tom Dede, Devin Long, and Larry Skipton have all been willing to accept reappointment. Wells County Weed Board, Dale Schmitz and Kelly Mache are both willing to accept reappointment. And that is everybody. So, and I do believe we can act on planning and zoning, we can act on school district reorganization, we can act on water resource, and we can act on youth board. So, it's in
Let's
your
take,
hands.
let's take them one at a time and we'll do it.
Let me get ready here. Okay, I can't type on this internet. Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
You wanna get out before dinner.
Yeah. Okay, I am ready.
Okay, give us the name for the first one.
First, planning and zoning would be reappointing Warren Strand and Bob Martin and appointing Joy Almaraz.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Stan to approve those three, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Boone, any discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, next up is school reorganization. That would be reappointing Stan and Bob Nelson.
The motion,
I'll motion. You go ahead.
I'll motion.
Ron Miller made a motion,
I can second it.
Boone second. Any discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Weed board, Dale Schmitz and Kelly Mache are both willing to continue.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve them.
Ron Miller, motion, is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Ron Lout. Any discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And then finally, the water board, Tom Beatty, Devin Long, and Larry Skipton all willing to continue.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Stan, is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Brian Miller. Any discussion?
I will abstain from voting on this.
Discussion. Just come from here.
Okay.
Okay, you got any discussion on?
No.
Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, then I would assume in February, these groups have had a chance to meet again, it's not like we're gonna notice, but, we will have JDA, Health District, and,
Were there some names that were willing to be up on TV?
well, I was told that the four members that currently still reside in Walls County are all willing to return, but not until they actually say that.
How many are on JDA again?
Okay, it looks like 1, 2,
I know,
3,
wait.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's not, certainly not 12, must be 13 here.
That'd be an odd number.
So, but the only one on that list is Vincent Marchand, no longer resides in the county. So, he's obviously got to be replaced. So,
You know, not to dwell on this just really briefly, why is that board so large? And there's a need for it to be that large, and can we restrict it?
well, they represent,
Different factions of
you got Bowden, Fesman, Harvey, Fesman, Harvey, Chaseley, Fesman, Harvey, Bowden, Harvey. Technically, they're not really representing that much of the county, but that's,
That's been that big ever since I can.
Well, I know, but you should have a purpose for everything, and then why is there a 13-member board?
Different opinions.
If you get that, that's a good thing, but
You know how that is with the fair board.
Exactly.
think of this, we're gonna do the revenue thing, and it's a small, minuscule thing, they don't meet very often, but at $50 a crack, at 13 members, that's $700 a meeting, plus mileage to have a meeting. If 5 members could do that, that the 13 are doing, that's saving the county some money. And I'm not proposing that, but I'm just saying that there should be a purpose for some of this stuff, not just saying, well, it's always been that way.
Okay, I hate to be the bearer of good news here, but we are right on schedule. And we've got somebody,
Standing in for the
cardboard
sheriff
cutout.
today.
Oh,
Before
Matt.
Janelle actually gets to
Well,
that, I do want to mention, just for your benefit, I'm taking it over the century code. The Job Development Authority, by statute, has to consist of at least 10 members and less than 20.
Really? Well, thank you.
I also agree that that's not you too.
Thank you. Well, Tim?
Well, I'm excited by
And here's the thing, anytime they have a meeting, not everybody gets up.
Right.
They probably have trouble getting a forum also.
Representing the sheriff.
Are you running? Are you running?
All right.
I'm not running for sheriff. No. Chris is actually transporting, we have court coming up very shortly across the street to the sheriff's green inmate for a court hearing today. So he asked me if I would run over and give you the review. Calls for service last year were 210, and the sheriff's office served 188 sets of civil process paperwork, which could consist of bill collecting, subpoenas for court hearings, things like that. If you haven't met the two deputies, Helen Levy, which I think you all have, and Tim Mueller, our newest deputy, please do. Awesome young kids they are, great officers, communities love them. Ward Hilger's still working for us part-time, which we're happy about as well. Anything else I can bring back to the sheriff from you?
And what you mentioned is a good thing, because we hear a lot of comments too, that the two young deputies are involved in the community.
Yes.
Community.
Yes, they are very community oriented. They like getting out to the small communities. Yeah.
Events.
Well, one of the biggest things with law enforcement is prevention. And if they're visible, how many times does that prevent something bad from happening?
We've got some cases Oliver's working on for us.
Yep.
So we are busy, well into the new year already, working hard. So if you need anything, you guys get a hold of Chris.
Things are going good then.
Things are going really well. Very
Nice.
happy to report that.
Still in the search for another deputy.
Well, I think it's in the budget for us to hire another full-time officer. If, right now Ward is part-time, he doesn't want to be full-time. So we haven't had any interest or applications. I'm not sure if we're actively recruiting per se, but we would be willing, I can't speak on behalf of the sheriff, but I'm certain that he'd be willing to look at an applicant.
No good Ward is still on board and
Okay.
something else.
Yes, he's a good officer for sure.
So the current situation, is a tricky question. Are we able to maintain with what we got options? Would it be easier with the no one, or can we maintain without the other?
That's a question for sheriff.
Yeah.
That's the political
I
answer.
didn't want to put
No,
you
I'm
on the
not,
spot.
I can't
I'm
speak
not-
for that, you know.
We're gonna be having some tough
Yeah.
budgeting decisions here, so that's what I'm.
No, absolutely, that's a question for the sheriff. I know that they juggle schedules between the three of them to make sure the county's adequately covered.
Yeah.
I'm certain a fourth would be fabulous, but,
Right.
I'm assuming that's why Ward really fits in pretty well. Number one, he comes by cheaper because he's part-time, and he can fill in when needed.
yeah, he's got a lot of different things that he does.
It's all part of the county, that
Yeah.
helps. I mean,
But he's
cover if you need to be down there.
Yeah, he's a good officer and knows what he's doing and needs a little supervision, that's a good thing, so.
That's where you come in, right?
Anything else for me that I can take back to Chris?
No, but thanks for your report.
Yeah, I'll leave the paperwork over here with Dan if you guys want to look at it. This is just my note of the civil contract. It's the same as what it was last year. Okay,
Very good, thank you.
you're welcome.
Oliver, how are you this morning?
Not too bad, how are you guys?
Good.
Very
So, relatively short report, but I did want to make sure I was available for any questions you guys had. With respect to the state's attorney's office's workload, is about comparable to that from last year, at least extrapolating half a year from when I started. Although with respect to some of the lower level offenses, they were offset by some of the more serious offenses. As you know, we had a couple of trials in this past year, which resulted in favor of the state, which was great. We also had a couple of appeals to the Supreme Court. One of them resolved in favor of the state relatively recently. The other one is waiting on a decision by the Supreme Court. So things are going pretty well. Sentencing on the defendant who was successfully convicted in one of those trials is actually this afternoon, as Janelle mentioned. Fingers crossed on that one. I think that it would be best to describe the last year as a successful cooperation between multiple different law enforcement agencies in my office. I've had nothing but the best support from the Sheriff's Office, as well as the Harvey Police Department and BCI, as well as the Highway Patrol when we get cases from them. It's been very instructive for me, but I appreciate the opportunity to serve. In terms of my personal situation, as you all know, I'm completing, and well, I have completed more or less the process of moving my residency to Wellstone for purposes of standing for election, so that should be completely kosher now. My wife is finishing up law school at the end of this year, for which point pretty much going to be divesting from any situation you're in courts. And then related, I guess, just for your guys' consideration, I am expanding my law firm to include an additional partner who is going to be coming on as a special assistant state's attorney. It's not a paid position, it's more we scratch each other's backs with respect to the work that we do, because he's also a public employee in a different county in Minnesota, but he lives in North Dakota presently. So in the event that I need an emergency coverage for a hearing or something like that, that's what he's there for. I've been trying to convince him to come out and do more civil work in the rural areas as well, so this is hopefully a step in that direction.
Very good.
So if you guys have any questions, by all means, ask me. I anticipated a few, but one or more things came up of what I assumed we talked about. So if you guys have any questions.
You have court today.
I do, yes.
You don't want to hold them up a long time.
No, it's okay. Listen, I got court, let's see, what's it, 40 minutes from now, so if you guys have questions.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anybody got any specific things to add?
Encourage your partner to move here.
We're trying.
I think he would be, in the long run, would be very happy he did, because there's a need.
I agree. I guess I can speak to that. So I've been trying to speak with UND Law about getting law school interns out here, because the best way to convince people to live out here is simply to plop them in places and go at it. And for the private practice attorneys, they have a fertile field to make quite a chunk of change. But even if they wanted to do criminal defense, which I can't condone, but that's okay. One thing that I am looking into is UND does have a system whereby they can have people come out for internships. I don't know whether it's funded is the thing, and I need to find that out with the legislature and the provost proceedings of being there. But we're looking into that. It's a possibility, and I would definitely want to see it.
Sounds good. That might be a step to get somebody interested in this.
Yes. It's disheartening because the rural attorney recruitment program, well, actually that might help, because the rural attorney recruitment program, the Supreme Court has decided it doesn't apply to elected officials or state's attorneys, but it can apply to assistant state's attorneys. So in theory, if you were to have another one, even on a part-time basis, that would probably be able to be, the cost would probably go down a little bit to the state. So I can look into that as well.
So you probably just answered my question that you got nowhere with the rural.
I try very hard. And to be clear, the people who are on the committee who forward applications to the Supreme Court are all in favor of this, and they think that it's a poor decision by the Supreme Court to exclude certain classes of attorneys. I have certain other opinions I will not discuss about that as well, but there was a great deal of support for it, and there was some motion during the last legislative session to change the language of the rule to specifically allow for it, so that it would alleviate the burden on some of the counties, but it just didn't move forward. So we'll push it again in 2027 and see what we can do.
I don't know if we'll get a chance today, but I
Sure, yeah, I'll be good on that.
It's a minor issue, but it's a you issue.
Oh, okay.
You got issues?
I didn't say it was a me issue, I said it was a you issue. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
John, I'm not there yet.
We are well ahead.
Schedule.
You said you were right up.
What a chairman.
Yes, we could,
But, you know,
I have very little if you want to get me over with one.
that's never happened. And I've been on this board quite a while already.
As long as the weather stays nice, I ain't gonna have a whole lot. You want me to go?
I think we could, you know, Brent, when we have that long-term
Yep.
planning, let's bring that other stuff.
Yep.
that I discussed at the-
I plan to. I just was gonna give you an overrun of what's
go ahead.
going on. So we're hauling gravel, this week. Just some gravel into Pheasant. We had a pile put up out at the Johnson pit, so our loader's out there, and we're gonna haul for about 2 or 3 days. The guys probably are getting going on it right now. As far as we've gotten almost all our equipment serviced for the winter. The blade guys have come over and helped out, being we don't have anybody in Pheasant. We probably have about 2 or 3 more days of servicing equipment that we normally service in the winter, and all that stuff is done. We will eventually start hauling some chips. I would like to anyway. I just have to find, I have to talk to you guys about what you want to chip seal next year, how much. I think it's an absolute must that we chip seal the 7 miles of the new pavement along County 5. Because that'll be 2 years now. Usually in the second year after it's paved, we chip seal. And then it would be time to chip seal County 4, which goes from Benson County to Manford. So you'd be looking at roughly 17 miles. I would suggest that we do at least 7, and if need be, half of that if you don't want to spend the money on oil. Obviously, I can't give you an estimate on what the oil is going to cost, but because it's a guess, but it's been holding steady. It actually even dropped a few cents last year, so I wouldn't think that there'd be a lot of surprises. You're looking at about 6,000 gallons a mile, and so $2 a gallon, a little over 2. You're looking at, to do 10 miles, you're looking $130,000 in oil. The chips are the minor part. They're not expensive. I mean, they're not giveaway, but when you're talking about $12,000-$15,000 a mile for oil, you're talking about $1,000 a mile for chips, or $1,500. So it's like 10%. I don't obviously need to know what exactly you want to chip next year, but I would assume that you do want to do the 7 miles, and I can start piling chips in the areas here. We just want to get as much done as we can when the weather's nice. That could change overnight, but that's why we're hauling gravel. Other than that, it's business as usual. Huey and Jeff, as you probably seen when you reviewed the time cards, between the 2 of them in December, they got 40 hours. It's 39 hours. So they, as long as the weather stays nice, having just 2 guys that are just willing to push snow saves the county quite a bit of money.
You're doing a good job on the weather part.
Yeah, and the forecast, looks very promising for the next 10 days. We like to think that we're on the downslide of winter now once you get past the new year. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that things stay the same. Other than that, it's just business as usual at the road department. You guys got any questions or concerns for me?
Speaking of chip sealing, I think it's the responsibility of the city of Harvey and the Township to do that road out.
It's about time, yep.
And are they aware that they're responsible for that?
I would probably suggest that, now that it's the new year, we're into 26, that one of us attend the city council meeting in Harvey within the next couple months or month or 2, and make them aware that, they did agree that every 5 years that they were going to chip seal that. and that it's gonna be at their cost. We'll do the chip sealing and the labor, but they have to buy the oil and the chips.
Right.
Which road's that?
It's actually 2.25
Golf
miles. The township gets involved in 1.25 miles of it, and the city of Harvey, the first mile out, I think, might just be the city of Harvey. I do
I'm not
believe.
sure exactly, I can't remember, I got contracts someplace.
Yep, but we're gonna have to make them
it
aware.
nice for the golfers.
Well, yeah,
No, that road's really stood up good. Have we ever considered,
Golfers.
doing that in some other areas?
Jason and I have talked about it quite a bit, about possibly that being a situation for County 71 down south. Is, now granted, the reason that is holding up good is because there is
Truck traffic is.
hardly any truck traffic, if anything, on there. But we have looked at options for 71 because of the cost of, $1 million a mile or whatever for a true overlay, and several $100,000 a mile for kind of what we have planned for Old 52, depending on what we hear from the, we've looked at grinding that entire 71 up without gravel on top, and then relaying the asphalt, the millings, relaying the millings and packing them in, and that is an option. It's a very viable option.
I remember when we did this section up there, the recommendation that came from the oil counties was doing this. And they got a lot of traffic down there. Like I said, though, we haven't given it the true test without truck traffic.
Right.
But boy, it's solid.
Well, that base one product, and we put base one in that 1.5 miles over by
Right.
Hamburg.
It's a new
So
coming thing.
it is. It's just not gonna. I have my doubts about it holding up for 100,000+ pound loads.
That's the problem now.
But when you start laying the options out for the people down south, and I think they maybe understand that the county doesn't have $8, $9 million, $7 million to put into a 9-mile stretch of highway, but they would probably rather us try something like this than go to aggregate.
But anyway, yeah, let's keep visiting with Jason and that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
But the one problem that is appearing, and they are here, and I'm sure you maybe even taken some phone calls because I have, the frost heaves are unbelievable again this year.
They're already bad.
Oh,
Yeah, Old 52.
Old 52, we're gonna take some gravel out there at the end of the week. There are 2 frost heaves on County 1 up at the first mile off County 5 that will knock your teeth out. They're all over the county, and I don't even know. We could probably put bump signs up, 40 bump signs up. And you're trying to put bump signs right along the highway into frozen ground that holds snow. I mean, I wish I could mark them all, but about the time you think you marked them all, you got 6 more pop up.
That's really early for them.
Yeah,
Wait till March.
especially for as bad as they are. And that's the high water table, I think, that we had going into the fall. But, it is a concern. Hopefully the local people, they know where all the frost heaves are, but trying to get people to slow down and go over them. They hit them once fast, they'll remember where it was, especially these up north. But we will be doing some fixing on that one by the water plant this week. A temporary fix. We'll have one that we have to fix over on Chaseley by Henry Heinz's every year. And hopefully if we do get this flex funding, and we can do the project on Old 52, when you mill and put